Islamic banking, which is examining Islamic banking in its history, the idea originally comes from Egypt. Somebody just came across the idea that, well, Islamic investment banking is like, it's almost like Kirat. So the philosophy of almost halal, it's not too haram. So with that in mind of the not too haram and almost halal thing, which is the basis of Islamic economics, then you say, okay, fine, if you just turn it around a little bit and twist it that way, you can, and then you take the Islamic contract and you twist it a little bit around and squeeze it, like that, then it's almost the same. And that's how they went. So the first banks, entirely based on Mudaraba, a new Mudaraba, nothing to do with Kirat, and we will come back tomorrow, this afternoon, about Kirat. So we'll learn what Mudaraba is according to Muamalat. But the Muamalat of these people was completely different. It was adapted to the circumstances. But Mudaraba, the problem with Mudaraba is that it wasn't profitable enough. So somebody came across and invented Murabaha. It was one of the leading criminals of the century called Taqi Osmani. This gentleman single-handedly transformed a sale contract into a usurious contract. Unique in history. To be fair to him, to Taqi Osmani, he does say, when you examine his literature, he does say, well, the contract of Murabaha is not really a financial tool, but given the circumstances, we have no choice, blah, 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 almost like a Darura appeal. It is in the notes, it's a little sentence. It's unbelievable, because you cannot make that jump just overnight. Murabaha is a sale contract. It's a form of stating the price of a good. If somebody comes from Syria, he can be selling camels or water or leather or whatever, and says, I'd sell at 3, meaning his markup is 3. It's a way of stating the price, that's all. It has nothing to do with somebody coming to you and saying, I want you to buy this thing from me in Syria, and then you come back and you sell it back to me with a 3% markup. Because these contracts in Islam are called 2 contracts in 1, and they are forbidden. What is the authority for me to say this thing? Imam Malik. If you want further consideration, taking into account the different madhabs, go to the Bidayat al-Mustahid of Ibn Rushd, who covers all the arguments regarding the matter, and he tells you equally clearly that this is haram. 2 transactions in 1. And this is the basis of Islamic banking in general. The contract of Ina and all the other contracts, the Tawarruq and all these new inventions that they just came across recently. It's all essentially based on what the Latin law called trinium, which is putting 2 or more contracts into 1. So if I say to you, lending is haram, okay, so forget about lending. I get water or anything for that matter, because it's going to be irrelevant. And this water, you sell it to me, so I pay you cash, I am the bank, and then you have to sell it back to me in the late terms with a markup. This is, of course, irrelevant. These are 2 transactions in 1. This is haram. Imam Malik literally says in his Kitab al-Wujuh, I don't remember the chapter number exactly, but you can read it yourself. He said, what is forbidden about 2 transactions in 1? And Imam Malik relates something like, I'm not saying literally, but it says, it is forbidden for somebody to sell a camel to another person with the understanding that the camel has to be sold back to them with an increment. That could be a camel, it could be a car, it could be whatever you like. It's forbidden. It was forbidden even for the Romans, who are not Muslims. Why? Because it's just the most classical formula to hide riba, for God's sake. you put Islamic banking under this scrutiny and there is no one single Islamic bank left in Malaysia. This is if it wasn't enough with the fact that what they are doing is fractional reserve banking, which is forbidden. If it wasn't enough with the fact that they are plugged into the entire banking system, which is haram. If it wasn't enough with the fact that they contribute to the creation of ringgits as a major institution within the concert of a capitalist system, which is haram. And how do you want to Islamize the bank again? It's absurd. But you know, to be absurd is nothing. What is absurd is that, look, there is a whole bunch of institutions, of universities, today, this morning, teaching this. Everybody quiet. It's indoctrination. It's brainwashing. But you know what is beautiful about it? It's done in the name of science. And you know what is happening? Is that we have forgotten that science comes from philosophy. The most important philosopher of the West, called Martin Heidegger, wrote in the 30s, science doesn't think. Why? Because it cannot think the truth. Because the truth cannot be grasped with what, where, or how. And you cannot ask about Allah with what, where, or how, can you? Science cannot think Allah, cannot think the truth, cannot think man. So to give science the absolute value of truth, that is scientism, is insane. That type of discourse that you will find if you go back to the times of Ibn Rushd, you will find that the people who were saying such things were considered zindiq. And you can read the literature around the great dispute of Tahafut al-Philosopher and Tahafut al-Tahafut of Ibn Rushd, and which was all about the writing of Ibn Sina and all the circumstances that surrounded this issue and what the Muslims said on these issues in particular. Today we have taken science, left, right and center, as a methodology to understand Islam. Now what is important is that, look, science is useful, it's practical, but if you understand the limitations, if you say science is truth, then it's dangerous. Then you become superstitious. It becomes like worshipping stones. You are attributing to a way of thinking something way above its capabilities. I'm saying this thing to you because the way in which we are here so contentedly talking about the Islamization of banking and accepting that this piece of paper is valuable and everybody concedes and sits down is a world of reason, of practical realities. And the people come forward and they argue and they say, but don't you understand, paper money is actually practical. And we say, we don't care whether it's practical or not. What matters to me is freedom. But freedom, the problem with freedom is that it doesn't enter into the mathematical equation. Statistics does, but not freedom. It's one. Science cannot think man, can think the data of man, a reificated man. Which leads you to a very fundamental question, which I only mention just to show you the gravity of the issues that we are at hand with. So that there is an Islamic way of thinking. Of course there is one Islamic way of thinking. And if you want to think Islam, don't try to persuade us with a methodology which is entirely alien to us, and is a kafir methodology that aliens any understanding of truth or Allah. There is a way of thinking, and that way of thinking is called taqwa. If you want to understand, you need taqwa. If you don't have taqwa, you don't see anything at all. It's like you don't understand. It's like you are blind. If you want to know, you need taqwa. Taqwa is not sin. It's a gift. That is knowledge. It has been for hundreds of thousands of years. But you cannot make a faculty of taqwa. I cannot just plant it here and then, okay, you pass the exam of taqwa and then you go and do Islamic studies. It just doesn't work like that. Although they want to. So you have nowadays PhD on tasawwuf. It's my favorite one. You know, Sufism. So they have PhD on tasawwuf. You know, the whole thing, the great issues regarding these matters reduced to PhD. Is part of the madness that we are in. The gold dinar is a bomb, is a blast in the face of all this orderly, rational world of wonderful muftis that go along shaking hands and everything is fine. It's a blast in the face of the Islam Hadari that they have insulted you. Everything is perfect, everything is fine, we are tolerant, everything is wonderful. Not the things that they say, it's the things don't say. It's a blast before all this orderly world of Islamic banking with its PhDs and students and professors and everybody in order. It's a blast to all that because it is totally irrational and is completely insane. Like it is irrational, the system that you have today, whereby one country in the world means the currency of the rest of the world. Because it is irrational that one country called Indonesia, with 220 million people, they have a national gross product, according to them, worth in the region of 300 billion US dollars. While at the same time, there is one company in the United States called Microsoft that, according to them, is worth 800 billion US dollars. And you have to tell me how 220 million people in Indonesia are worth 1/3 of one guy owning one company. And somebody has to say, no, this is irrational. This is irrational. It's unacceptable. Okay? And then you have to tell that these people in Indonesia, in these incredible circumstances, underpriced by the virtue of their activities, they still manage to pile up a little amount of wealth according to the rules that they have been given to them. Then it comes 1997 and they just pull everything away from them. They take it all away. And this is when Mahathir opened his eyes, because he realized Soros is the owner of the ringgit, not him. He suddenly realized that the ringgit doesn't belong to him. And it was the first opening for him to start thinking about the gold dinar. But somebody has to say it's irrational. It's irrational. So you have to try this word. No.